Okay, we're ready to go. So we're on we're in the booklet now, and we're discussing what is the definition of Gemilas Chasadim, acts of kindness. Page 4. And what we have on this list is general categories. There are more details, and there might be some things that are not on the list, but this is the general categories. So last week we did number 3 on the list, Bikur Cholim, and now we're going to number 4. Number 4 is Achnasas Orchim, which means hospitality to guests, to strangers. So this could mean 2 things, either just having a guest come to your meal, or even having a guest staying at your home that needs a place to stay. Of course, it doesn't mean that no matter who knocks on your door and says, "Hi, can I stay in your house?" that you just open the door and let them in. Definitely have to use your common sense to know that it's safe and that you have nothing to be concerned about. There's no risks involved. It's just a matter of, am I ready to go out of my way or not ready to go out of my way? So Achnasas Orchim is one of the big mitzvahs. In fact, because it's so outstanding, I dedicated another page for it. We'll talk about this a little bit more specifically about Achnasas Orchim. That this is something that Avraham Avinu excelled in, accommodating guests. And we'll go into it in more detail when we get there to the next page. Another example of Gemilas Chasadim is the next thing on the page, number 5, Nichum Avelim. I also, by the way, made a point to use the Hebrew terms, which are the Torah terms for these character traits, or for these mitzvahs, these customs, so you should become familiar with the Torah terms. Nichum Avelim means consoling the mourner. God forbid a person is in mourning, there was a loss in the family. It's a mitzvah on other people to come to them and be there as a support. And this is like we spoke about visiting the sick. Here too, we have to use common sense. When you go to a person who unfortunately had a tragedy and suffered a loss, to be very careful what you say and how you act, and not in a way that they should think that you just are sitting here and having a bringing, to realize that you're there for them and you're there to sort of, you can't change the facts, but just they should realize that you are with them and that you're there as a support. So be careful what you say and how you act. And again, like everything else, there are halachas that apply. I just want to add, there's one thing I didn't mention yet, but one of the ways that we define acts of kindness is when we find that Hashem did something, and we say we're supposed to follow Hashem's ways. So if Hashem does this means this is an act of kindness. This is based on the words at the bottom of the page. Look at the bottom of the page, number 13. There's a verse in the Torah. It says, and you should attach yourself to Hashem. And the Gemara, the Talmud asks, what does it mean attach yourself to Hashem? How do you attach yourself to Hashem? And the answer is attach yourself to His ways, follow His paths, do the things that He does. Just like Hashem has compassion, you should have compassion. Hashem visits the sick, you should visit the sick. Hashem helps those that are in mourning, you should help. So a lot of these things we actually find that Hashem Himself was involved in these activities. For example, visiting the sick. Anyone know where you find in the Torah that Hashem went to visit someone sick? Right, we're going to learn about it next week in the Parsha. The Abraham did the circumcision. And at that time, he was 99 years old. And Hashem came to visit him because he was sick. We also find that when Abraham died, it says in the Torah that Hashem came to console Yitzchak. So we see that consoling and comforting somebody who, God forbid, had a loss is an act of kindness. What's number 6? Number 6 is halvayas hames, escorting the dead. Literally, it means that when a person, God forbid, passes away, it's considered a positive thing to do, to participate in the funeral and be there and give honor, the last honor to this person who passed away. But generally, it includes more things. Anything that could be done to help a person that had passed away, helping in the burial, helping in with the family. That this again, in every from Torah community, you will have a committee that's involved with visiting the sick, a committee that's involved with achnas asarchim, arranging a place for a visitor to stay. You'll have a committee. They actually have a name they call Chevra Kadisha, a committee that's involved, and God forbid, when there's parents that passed away, to take care of all those needs that need to be taken care of. And here too, we find that Hashem did that. There's a place in the Chumash where it says that Hashem buried Moshe Rabbeinu. So the Gemara, the Talmud says, from here we learn that burying someone who passed away is an act of kindness. Let's go to the more exciting things. Number 7, Achnasas Kava, which means even though any form of assistance to any person is a positive thing, is an act of kindness, but there's something specific about helping a bride and a groom who are getting married. And it's called Achnasas Kava, which means dowering the bride, but really means anything that could be done to help a bride and a groom in their process of marriage. So it's either helping them financially, helping them find an apartment, helping them with the arrangement for the wedding, and it could also include helping them getting together in the first place. Organizing a shidduch that 2 people should meet and get married, because what you're doing is you're building a home, you're building a future. And every home, in a certain sense, is eternal. They have children, the children have children, the children have children. And therefore, to contribute to that and to make that happen is a tremendous act of kindness. And once again, in every Torah community around the world, they'll always find that they have a committee of people that they're there to help to help regarding people that are getting married in any possible way that they can possibly be helped. And part of it is also because the way you set yourself up has a big effect and impact on the entire future. So when 2 people get married, if everything goes easy in the beginning as much as possible, the arrangements for the wedding, the financials for the wedding, and the wedding itself is all in a pleasant, respectful, dignified way, in a happy way, then it makes it much easier for the young couple to continue that way the rest of their life. Very often, if all that comes in a difficult way, it's complicated, it's hard, and hey, they don't have any money, and there's no money for a band, and there's no money to buy clothing, and you can't find a place where to live, all these things, it doesn't allow you to focus on the real things and to go into the marriage in a peaceful way. So therefore, it's considered a big mitzvah to do everything you can to help a bride and a groom. Including what's included in this would also be, which hopefully some of you will be doing tonight, is come to a wedding and do the dancing and singing to add to the simcha, to add to the joy at the wedding, is also part of this mitzvah. Now we come to number 8. Yeah.
So for the other ones, we've shown how Hashem did those. Do we have an example?
Do we have an example where Hashem helped organize a wedding? Well, he married off Adam and Chava. Tzedakah. So tzedakah means to give charity. So this is about a person who is lacking financially. And it's a mitzvah to help a person who is lacking financially in his money. So What I'd like to do now, take a little detour, and we're going to study a chapter in the Rambam, Maimonides, where he has the laws of tzedakah. And there are a lot of laws related to tzedakah, how it should be done, to what extent I should go out to give charity. And in fact, he describes, this is very famous, he describes there are 8 levels of how a person could give charity to help another person. And each one is considered sort of higher than the other, a better way than the other, but they're all charity. So I'm going to give this out now. This is it's one chapter from the book of Rambam Maimonides that, did I take the right papers? Yeah. Okay, if you don't mind, thank you. I mean, in general, a lot of the commandments of Torah all are about being sensitive to another person's needs, not to hurt another person, and to share in another person's pain, to be compassionate. But tzedakah means not just that I feel the other person's pain, but I do something about it also. That's what tzedakah is. But how much should I be giving? How far do I have to go out of my way to give? There's a certain part which is sort of an obligation, and there's a certain part which is every person is on their own. Generally speaking, the obligation is to give 1/10 of our earnings to tzedakah. So if a person earns X amount of money per month, let's say $1,000 a month, we should give a minimum of $100 a month for tzedakah. Tzedakah means charity. And charity could be for anything. It could be for helping someone that's sick. It could be helping someone that doesn't have money for his daily expenses. It could be helping a bride like we just learned about. It could be helping a person can't afford burial and you're helping in that way. Any form of helping another person financially that they can't manage themselves is considered tzedakah. And 10% could be in any way that you do it. To give more than 10%, that's not an obligation. Every person is on their own how much you want to give. Of course, the general principle behind this is there are people who are very wealthy, have a lot of money, and they don't believe in giving tzedakah. And they feel like, oh, this is my money. I worked hard and a lot of sweat and blood to get this money. And now I should give it to someone else. Why should I do that? But part of this is that a belief of a Jew is that there's nothing that we actually do on our own. These are all, everything I have, financially, physically, spiritually, these are all things that Hashem gives me. And Hashem gave me this money, and he told me that 90% is for you, and 10% is to share with another person. So when a person says, why should I give away something that I have? The answer is, Hashem gave it to me in the first place, that part of it I should give to another person. And the reason for that is for me to develop this nature and character to have more sensitivity to another person. So let's see some of the halacha, some of the laws that are related to tzedakah. Chapter 10, the reason why it's chapter 10 is because there are much more laws pertaining to the whole idea of tzedakah. And this is one chapter that's related to our discussion here. We're obligated to be careful with regard to the mitzvah of charity to a greater extent than all other positive commandments, because charity is an identifying mark for a righteous person, a descendant of Abraham, our patriarch. Because it says in reference to Abraham, there's a pasuk, a verse in the Torah that says, I have known him because he commanded his children to perform charity. So in other words, the Torah is saying that what is it that made Avraham Avinu so precious to Hashem? This is what defines Avraham Avinu. And this is what defines descendants of Avraham Avinu. To be sensitive to the point to give charity, to give money to another person, money that I've earned. And then it says the throne of Israel would not be established nor will the true faith stand except through charity. As it says, you shall be established through righteousness, and Israel will be redeemed solely through charity. There's a pasuk, a verse that says, Tzion b'mishpat tipada. Tzion means Jerusalem will be redeemed through judgment, which means Torah study, and those who are held captive will return through charity. So charity is one of the mitzvahs that actually brings and hastens redemption. So some of you are familiar that the Rebbe, which is passionate about Mashiach, is also passionate about charity. In fact, everyone knows about these lines that the Rebbe would stand online for hours and give out dollars. And people say, I went to get $1. But what were these dollars? The dollars were, the Rebbe would give the dollar to a person and tell them that this dollar is for you to give to charity and add something on your own. So basically, every Sunday, when the Rebbe would give out the dollars, there would be thousands of people giving additional charity. True, the people went to the Rebbe for blessing, so the charity was sort of a conduit through which the Rebbe transmitted his blessing to the person. But practically, when he gave the dollar, what it meant was, I'm giving you $1, and you should give this to tzedakah, and being that I'm giving you the dollar, so you give $1 to tzedakah and add a little bit more on your own. In fact, most people who got $1 from the Rebbe didn't put it into a pushka, they kept it. But they took out their own dollar, gave that to tzedakah, and added more than $1 on their own. And the reason for that is because tzedakah is one of those mitzvahs that is so precious to Hashem that this hastens redemption. There's also a custom, if you ever came across this, it's called shliach mitzvah. Shliach mitzvah means when you're traveling, someone will tell you, okay, here's $1 for shliach mitzvah. If you ever seen this, what does it mean? It means when you travel, you want Hashem's blessing that it should be safe and sound and everything should go smooth. And it says in the Talmud that when you go on a trip and the purpose of your travel is for a mitzvah, then that itself is a protection. But I'm not going for a mitzvah, I'm going home, or I'm going on a business trip. So someone gives you $1 and says, when you get to that place, put the dollar into charity. So right now, your trip is also for the purpose of a mitzvah, and that will add to your safety and your protection. But again, through this custom, so much more people have been giving charity. So the reason is because charity is one of those things that bring Mashiach. Base. One of the fears of giving charity is that if I give away my money, what's going to happen with me, with my money? So the Rambam says the following: La'olam ein adam. Let me read in English. A person will never become impoverished from giving charity. We're not going to lose financially by giving charity. No harm, no damage will ever be caused because of charity. And that's based on a pasuk, a verse in the Torah. And the deed of charity is peace, which means it'll only bring blessing to a person, not the opposite. And everyone who is merciful evokes mercy from others. Like it says, and he shall grant you mercy and shower mercy upon you and multiply you. Which means that Hashem acts towards me the way I act towards other people. So we all could use Hashem's compassion and his mercy. Sometimes we need it for our health. Sometimes we need it financially. Sometimes we need it with our children. Sometimes we need it for whatever it may be. We need help from Hashem. So just like I'm doing this act of kindness, I'm reaching out to another person. I don't owe this person anything. They didn't work for me. They're not my employee. But nevertheless, I'm helping them. So I turn to Hashem and I say, Hashem, and that's what it says here, that Hashem says, I will have compassion and give mercy to those that have mercy on others. When a person is cruel and shows no mercy to another person, his lineage is suspected because cruelty is found only in the other nations. Like it says, they are cruel and will not show mercy. In other words, those who are descendants of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov will have a neshama that's a godly soul. It's inherently part of their nature to have mercy and to have it in them. That doesn't mean that every single person who is a Jew is a nice person and is a merciful Jewish person. In fact, there are many people that were sadists and did a lot of horrible things. but it means that they have that potential. And in essence, it's part of their personality. The entire Jewish people and all those who attach themselves to them are as brothers. Like it says, you are children to God. And if a brother will not show mercy to a brother, who will show mercy to them? To whom do the poor of Israel lift their eyes? Should it be to those Gentiles who hate them and pursue them? So their eyes are pointed to their brothers. We all have to turn to each other, support each other, and help each other, and show compassion for each other. Gimel, the third thing. Anyone who turns his eyes away from charity is described as being rebellious, which means if a person notices that someone out there is coming, he's looking for help, and he's asking for charity, so I pretend that I don't see them, I ignore them. So that's considered also a negative thing. I know everyone has a big question, a big problem in Crown Heights, because every step you take, someone else is stopping you on the street for charity. By the time you get from President Street to Eastern Parkway, you're going to be broke. How do you work that? So first of all, you don't have to give everybody $1, $10. There are some people that when you give them money, they throw it back at you and they say, "That's all you're giving me." You don't have to give a certain amount. You can give a quarter, you can give a dime, because you don't want to do something which is insulting to the other person, but you don't have to give any specific amount as long as you give. And of course, if you're rushing somewhere, you're going somewhere, you don't have to give. It is a good idea that if someone asks me for help, I should always respond in a positive way, not to have to reject the person. But again, it could come to a point where it's so overwhelming that you can't keep up with it. So in a situation like this, it's different than the normal situation. And it brings the verse that shows that this is considered a rebellious person. It means rebellious against Hashem, that they don't care about giving charity. These are all psukim verses just to support that. Let's turn the page to number 4. Giving charity to another person also has to be done in a way that you're not embarrassing the person. The whole point of tzedakah is that you're being sensitive and caring and compassionate to another person. So it must be done in a way that you're not hurting their feelings. Whenever a person gives charity to a poor person with an unpleasant countenance and his face is buried in the earth, in other words, you're giving them money, but you're showing that you're upset that you have to give them the money, then he loses and destroys his merit. Even if he gives him 1,000 gold pieces, but if you give it with a negative face, with a sour face, you're doing more damage than good. Instead, you should give him with a pleasant countenance and with happiness, and to make him feel that you're sort of sharing in whatever troubles he's going through, and brings the pasuk, "Do I not weep for those who face difficult times? Did not my soul feel sorrow for the destitute?" In other words, I actually should feel in a real way the other person's pain. And we should speak words of sympathy and comfort. Like it says, "I will bring joy to a widow's heart." So basically, we all know that something when you hurt somebody physically, it's not as bad as hurting somebody emotionally. You know what? When you hurt somebody physically, the physical damage could last for a little while and then it's over. When you hurt somebody emotionally, that pain sometimes could last for years. For years. The people who are in their 40s and their 50s and the 60s could still be dealing with issues that happened when they were children or happened when they were teenagers. So if you don't give the person money, you're hurting them financially. But if you do it in a way that you're embarrassing them and insulting them and making them feel that they're a burden and that you're so upset that you have to give them the charity, so the Rambam says that the negative overrides the positive that you're doing. You're giving them the money, but you're hurting them and destroying them emotionally. So you have to be extremely careful to do it in a sensitive way.
How should we do it in a sensitive way?
How should we do it in a sensitive way? With a smile. I don't mean that you have to pretend that you're so excited to start dancing, but I mean to say is that you're pleasant about it. Sometimes someone asks you money, you start rolling your eyes. Or like, another one is asking me for money. There's a way to react that the person feels that you're speaking, you're looking at them in a condescending way. You're looking down at them. You're upset that they're asking you for money. I actually witnessed it once when I was in shul. I guess this guy must have been stopped for tzedakah by the 18th time already. And somebody walks over and says, could you please help me? I have a sick child and I'm collecting money for his medical expenses. And this person just bursts out and says, stop it already, you're making me sick, get out of here. And the guy looks at him and says, I'm making you sick? I'm collecting money for a sick child. But that is the opposite of what it says here. Even if you give them money, but if you give it with this kind of attitude, you're doing more damage than you're doing good. In fact, the Rambam says, if a poor person asks you for a donation, he asks you for money, and you don't have the money to give it to him, nevertheless, you can make him feel good with words, saying something encouraging, saying something nice, and making him feel good. So let's say someone asks you for money, and you don't have the money on you. You could either just walk right by them. I remember there used to be this woman sitting on the corner of Kingston Avenue. For years, she would be sitting there. And she was a little bit annoying. She would scream at people, call them names. So people would walk right by her. And she would scream, what am I, invisible? Just walking by, I'm asking you for something. But you can, even not giving, you can just walk by and ignore the person, and that's humiliating. Or you can say, I'm sorry, I don't have anything with me today. Hopefully next time. And then you make them feel good, that's all.
Is there anything about giving to a Jew versus a non-Jew, or it doesn't matter at all? Equally important.
First of all, tzedakah is for everybody. The question is that if there is more than one person that is coming to me and needs it, is there any sort of set of priorities? So there is a set of priorities that, for example, if somebody in my community needs something, and someone of a different community comes, my community comes first. Someone in my family needs something, and someone in a different family comes, my family comes first. And something that's closer to me, I have more of a responsibility. So on that basis, you would also say that if there are two people, I don't have enough to give both. So it's either I'm going to give to the Jewish person or to the non-Jewish. This is my family, so I'll give to my family. But in general, the idea of tzedakah is helping any human being with charity is tzedakah. Yeah.
Where do you draw the line between like safety and doing the mitzvah tzedakah?
When you say safety, you mean what?
Like, for example, like here for the most part, like the people on the streets, they don't seem like they're very like gonna harm you. Like at least like down Kingston, they ask for tzedakah, they're very nice, but like going into other places in New York, around the world, they're like mean and they're, you know what I mean? Or like like jump you. Or...
So like I said, safety comes first. Don't do something which is risky. It's like the mitzvah of bringing something into my house as a guest, but I don't allow anybody who knocks on my door and say, it's a mitzvah, okay, come in. Next thing you know, your house is gone.
So if you feel like unsafe or just get weird vibes, it's okay if you just walk
Okay,
away.
perfectly okay if you get weird vibes, just move
nice
on.
and you say nice words and whatever.
100%. And there are people that are dangerous out there. Yeah.
One thing that I'm doing in my life for a while is that instead of giving each corner or worrying about all those people, I elect some institutions and I give to the institutions. And then I feel this is the way I'm doing, and I would like to hear from you. And then I feel good. I mean, I'm already doing it. I'm giving already to those and those and those institutions that I chose. So when I walk by those people, I smile, or I don't feel like I have to do something.
Right. That's true, because I'm giving tzedakah.
Yeah.
But still, there's actually a verse in the Torah that says if somebody approaches you and opens their hands, don't ignore them. So it's a little bit.
This is tricky.
Yeah, it's a little bit tricky, right?
That doesn't.
It doesn't cover
Really,
everything,
yeah,
right?
doesn't.
Right. But definitely would free me in the sense that when I give Meiser, I give my 10%, I give it to someone who's responsible. I know
Yeah.
they'll give it to, you never know. Sometimes some of these people are collecting money, might be more, might be wealthier than we are. And they're not real. But that we don't know, and we can never know. So you don't have to give them big amounts. And especially if someone makes demands, like, why are you giving me? I saw people who just throw money back, just a quarter. And some people threw back dollars, just $1. You don't have to do that. And obviously they're not well or not nice people. You don't have to go out of your way to do that.
Are there any special provisions around, like, it's 10% if it's work you did, it's 10% if it's inheritance you got, it's 10% if it's interest you got, like, it doesn't matter what.
There are details. There's actually a book all about these laws of tzedakah because there's so many details, right? We're not going to be covering those details here. I mainly want to learn this to learn about the importance of tzedakah and how precious it is, how important it is, and that's why I'm learning this thing. So one more piece, number 6, someone who is compels others to give tzedakah. When you inspire someone else to give tzedakah and you motivate them to give tzedakah, the reward is even greater than giving tzedakah yourself, and it brings a verse for it. Number 7 is what we'll do tomorrow, discusses 8 levels that I mentioned to you of giving tzedakah, one higher than the other, to be continued.
There is happening last month, a friend of mine, which is non-Jewish, came to our house and he said, imagine, I entered in the supermarket and I bought a sandwich and I was eating the sandwich, the chicken sandwich. And when I went out of the market, there was someone asking me, I'm hungry, I need to give me something. And then this friend of mine, non-Jewish, gave to this person the half of his sandwich. And the guy asked, is it kosher? And my friend, which is not, what are you talking about? No, I only eat kosher. If it's not kosher, I cannot get it. Oh, okay. So he gave back the sandwich, and my friend was like,
Disappointed.
yeah, I just wanted to feed you. And then he came with this kosher thingy.
You know what? That person could have also said it in a much more sensitive way. For example, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's so nice of you, but I just eat only kosher.
Exactly.
And then it would have been a
I am
different
not
story.
sure if your sandwich is kosher, so
Right.
thank you, or give
Right.
me an apple instead of the sandwich.
Or just
I
to
don't
say, I
know.
appreciate what you do. It's
Yeah.
really very nice.
So
very beautiful.
the person was not nice.
The person
also.
receives also has to be nice.
Has to be nice,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Because nobody can figure out
What's in your head and what you need.
Yeah,
Exactly
what
right.
you need.
100%.
So he stayed hungry. He didn't eat the
Yeah.
sandwich and didn't get anything else.
But he still did a good deed.
He still did.
He gave a sandwich. He did his good deed.
My friend, yeah,
Right.
he tried, but this is bad too, in another way, because this Jewish guy, he damaged a little bit of
Yeah.
the image.
But that's the way, because the way he did it.
The way he did
Right,
it,
the way.
he's damaging
Exactly.
our kosher
Right.
idea, because it means that, okay, what you are eating